I've spent the last 10 years testing pretty much every B2B marketing tactic, activity, and strategy you could possibly think of, which has given me two things. First, great insight into what works well for generating revenue for B2B companies. And secondly, well, chronic neck pain from sitting at a computer all day. Let me look at the state of this thing. I guess it's a give and take process. In this video, I'm going to run through 50 tactics I've personally implemented in the last 6 years since we started our B2B marketing agency, which has led us to being able to work with over 150 B2B brands, including some very, very big names, which then has ultimately led us to being acquired last year. For each tactic, I'm going to go over whether I regretted it or I definitely try it again, or, well, if we're still using it. So if you need some marketing inspiration, new tactics to plug into your strategy to get better results, or just want to sit back and listen to successes and failures that we've had whilst building an agency, then this is definitely the right place for you to be. As a side note, as we're going through 50 tactics, I can't really go into loads of depth on each one, but I do have videos which do go in a lot more depth on pretty much every single one of these tactics and activities that we've gone through on the channel, where there's around 90 videos we've created. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you've bookmarked it so you can come back later to watch those videos at will. So without further ado, let's get straight into the first tactic. Now, this first tactic is an obvious one, and it's high intent Google ads. Now, depending again on your strategy and how good it will be to amplify your company's benefit to your target audience market, really depends on a lot of different factors, which I won't get into today. But Google ads is typically one of my first go-to tactics that I'll look to see if it fits in with my wider marketing and business strategy. Things depend around, on your industry maturity, how saturated it is, and also funding. Depending on if you have loads of companies who've got loads and loads of funding, they may be blowing out the proportions of the market-led CPCs you're going after. But Google ads is definitely a great tactic, which I typically would see and look to, assess to start with most companies. A second tactic would be Bing ads. Now, if you're getting a good ROI and a good return from Google ads from a B2B perspective, you then might as well start looking at Bing ads. Now, Bing ads is great for loads of reasons. One is it's now around 18%. I believe the latest stats are market share of desktop, and desktop's really the key one that you want to look at when you're doing B2B, because that's where most commercial decision-making activity happens, at that direct response level. So you roughly get 18% access to more bottom of funnel leads from Bing. Loads of stuff I've written about on the channel around how you can actually customize search using LinkedIn ads data within Bing, for example, and actually it really being a great place for enterprise buyers because typically the demographic is more senior and they have more decision-making power. Tactic number 3 is SEO as a broad topic. Now, this tactic is a bit more specific because we use the Google ads and we use the Bing ads data to then inform our SEO campaign strategy for the company, because we want to make sure that we're getting good data feedback on the paid search options, see which keywords, which ads, and which landing pages are profitable, and then we can create an SEO roadmap based on the profitability. So we know if we start ranking for XYZ high intent terms, we are going to then actually start seeing the fruition of our efforts turn into revenue, not just vanity metrics of we're ranking for this because someone in the senior management team told us to do so. Now, tactic number 4, this one's slightly different because as an SEO agency for B2B companies, well, SEO is one of our services at Session for B2B companies, but we actually bid on SEO an agency and didn't get great results. So we actually didn't take our own advice, but instead we decided to rank for SEO agency, which we did for a year, or around 18 months, I think bouncing between 1 and 3, mainly as a proof of concept and as a case study which we could share for the wider public, and one that could be like a credibility booster that if we can rank for this highly competitive term in this market, we know what we're doing. But again, it was a very expensive point to prove. And ultimately, like I said, because we didn't follow tactic number 3 on using the guided paid search data to guide our SEO efforts, it was more of a case study and look what we did, PR stunt than anything else. Now, tactic number 5, link building. Now, in the previous points, we talked about SEO. Obviously, one of the big components of SEO is link building. And the other parts are around the technical, the content, the EAT factors, trustworthy, credibility of your company and everything else. My business partner goes very much into that over at his channel. But when we were getting started and create the base for link building, we create a lot of cool infographics like this one around conversion rate optimization for B2B, and did lots of guest posts, like expert guest posts, where we actually started writing about strategies for different companies and getting them placed on lots of different industry press. Tactic number 6, as a creative tactic would be local link building. When we first started the agency 6 years ago, we were based in Surrey. We still are based in Surrey at the head office. And we wanted to rank for Surrey SEO because we had a broader SEO target audience market for local businesses. And it wasn't just B2B back then before we pivoted exactly just to work on B2B companies. So to do this, we created and did a lot of research around the best blogs in Surrey and reached out to like law firms, dog walkers, insurance companies, and just, told them that they had the best blog that we thought in their industry within the Surrey area. And then we created a badge which had a hyperlink in it and got all these links back to our local site, and then started ranking number one for Surrey SEO. This was a backlinko, Brian Dean approach which we took, and we decided we'd create our own awards, actually do research into the best blogs, and then people actually started asking us for certificates and everything else along those lines, which they could put on the wall. And it was legitimate as any other award, right? Awards are subjective to their value, and again, I think this was a nice sort of like nod to having a local award, but obviously no one paid for it like a lot of people do in the award industry. Number 7 was dynamic landing pages. This works really nicely with the paid media activity and the Google ads and Bing ads we were doing earlier. So we rolled out dynamic landing pages, which changed the header to completely align with what the ad was and really mirrored the intent of the user, and sort of created these custom landing pages versus just sending Google ads to the homepage. So really strong tactic there. Really, really agree with this one, and really like, I think with most people that build and send Google ads stuff to their Google ads traffic to their site, this is a really good one for you to do to get the most out of that audience as well, because you don't want them getting distracted, going to your blog page and doing loads of other things on the site which deter from the high intent query that they've just typed in. LinkedIn ads, for those of you who watch this channel a lot, you'll probably know our obsession with LinkedIn ads. One second. This is one of my Secret Santa presents. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, pretty much just LinkedIn socks. I don't wear them, but I put them up on one of our shelves. That's how much we care about LinkedIn ads. Now, we do a lot of business because that's where our audience is on LinkedIn. So we do a lot of long form videos, do static, do carousels, do document ads, you name it. We've done it. Number 9, conversation ads. Now, conversational ads are pretty much those ads where you can send an automated email to someone, but it has multiple different options. We typically do this for people that have watched half of, say, a longer form video or been to our website through paid search activity, and then we will then be able to automatically send them an email. Really great for high intent and capturing that demand. Tactic number 10, mid-funnel Google ads. So rather than doing high intent Google ads, I think if you have a really good hub of A+, what we'd call content, for example, like this YouTube channel, I like to think, rather than sending people from like who would just type in B2B marketing to our website to try and convert them, they're obviously not in the headspace of converting because it's not an intent term. It's more of a info-based term than a commercial led term. So rather than doing that, we can just send them to the hub of content with no directive, no conversion rate optimization, but we can send them to this hub so they get caught up in maybe watch a couple of videos on LinkedIn ads, a couple of videos on B2B marketing strategy, a couple of videos on Google ads for B2B, a couple on CRM setup for B2B companies. And then you can kind of start creating that demand and interest and start kind of getting to think about they may re-enter back into the market. They may need some of your support on the stuff you're talking about, which is the importance of having longer form content. Really recommend, I guess, mid-funnel strategy if you've got a lot of time and spend that on content as well. Now, number 11 was hosting industry podcasts. Again, it's the same as above. We did this briefly. I think you kind of choose maybe YouTube, which you can do podcasts, or hosting a podcast. We didn't continue that one after a while, but got to meet some really cool people in the industry, which is, I think, one of the big benefits from creating that referral network, but also just having great questions that you can go and get for free, as well as, answering your audience's in-depth questions. But you got to remember, it's very competitive to get people to come back every week and listen to your podcast. So it's got to be a very specific angle. And if not, you have to spend a lot of time getting to the crux of the matter, which again, we do on these videos. So we didn't have then time to go out and do a podcast as well as doing these YouTube videos. So I think that's up to how you want to portray your information and your audience and your strategy and everything else. Another good one I think I'd recommend for everyone is going on someone else's podcast. Really good to get that amplification of your ideas and content out there without having to do all the admin of doing your own podcast. Obviously, you've got to make it good. So that's number 13, turning these podcast snippets into shorts to amplify. This is kind of the syndication side of things. So we'll take your longer form content, snip it up and post it on shorter form platforms. These shorter form views won't typically lead into longer form views, but it kind of plays into your brand awareness and content play, and just allows the effort you've got from creating this content into just getting it in front of more eyeballs. And if it is good content strategy, which I've written about a lot from a B2B perspective, then it will start bringing in the right target client fit for you. Number 14, we have YouTube ads. This is both for new business and recruitment. And I've again created long form videos around how to go and create these. So YouTube ads I definitely recommend, and it's great because you only have to pay for the ad if someone actually engages with, I think it's either 10 or 30 seconds, depending on the type of ad that you've put out there. Number 14, creating a funny funny-ish recruitment ads for these YouTube ads. So we've created a few different recruitment videos that have taken no more than an hour to create. We try to be quite funny. So that's in the very early days. You could probably tell from The Office. But jumping on number 15 is creating a personal B2B YouTube channel. So this channel and the one you're sitting on right now, imagine inside this box, unless you're watching it on LinkedIn because I'm amplifying it, is a tactic of ours. And it's one that I've taken very seriously over the years, and one that I enjoy the medium of video. I enjoy sort of condensing experiences and putting them out there. And I just enjoy everything from the lighting through to just editing software. It just makes sense for me to do it because I enjoy it. And I think the way to illustrate what we do a lot is by video. So it works in alignment with the strategy. It builds up and it's become one of our biggest referral platforms over time, with people finding us saying they found us on YouTube initially. The next one is obviously organically posting on LinkedIn. I try and post around 2 to 3 times a week on LinkedIn. I used to post more, and I'm testing different formats at the moment. The algorithm's definitely not showing and amplifying your content as much, and it's definitely getting more saturated as more people are doing it. Most people that come inbound, and we get a lot of leads through organic LinkedIn, but they've never liked a single post. And I think it's just really using your competitive advantage from the stuff you know and you've learned in your company's data to then be able to amplify that and really create that moat around what you're doing, and not just post things like have a nice day or like here's a meme or company outing, stuff that actually connects those pathways between what you guys offer and what your audience needs. So next time they actually come in market to buy, you guys are at forefront of mind. Same with syndicating this content. Again, I sometimes post the LinkedIn stuff on X. I need to get better at this, and I recommend if you do have content on one platform, you can syndicate it across. Obviously, you've got to turn it into a thread or pay for X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it premium. Number 18 is testimonial videos. Great tactic for any company in B2B is happy customers, get them on recording. You can go and get a professional camera crew. We just did sort of like Loom and video setups where they could, talk about their experience with us, which we then posted on the homepage, use them within ads. It's really good for repurposing. Tactic number 19, live webinars and recordings. We've done this sporadically and we've re-recorded some. And we've done it for other, partner companies and for clients. And it's a great way of doing what you want. But I personally think rather than doing webinars, I'd rather just create a YouTube channel. It has like its own engine. You haven't got to drive your own traffic to it, and it'll start picking up, and you can put just as much effort into it and just make it really engaging for the YouTube platform versus going and creating and gating a webinar and, spending money and driving your email list to it. But I think, again, it depends. If you're enterprise buyers, you want to have that two-way feedback loop. If it's regular, if it's not regular, lots of things to consider there. But definitely a live webinar is something we actually want a big accounting firm off one of the live webinars as like a direct attribution lead there. Point number 20, and what I've realized is I've actually down counted one. So I think I mentioned one number twice, but let's just say we're point number 20. I think it's 21, but in my notes, I have 20, so let's go with that. Now, next one is we created a large ebook. Now, this wasn't just an ebook, which was like generic. Let's pump it out to capture leads because, again, my thoughts on those are not great. Again, intent of an ebook download doesn't mean that someone's ready to buy, but we created this 57-page B2B ebook that's actually converted clients over the years, got lots of great feedback. People have referenced it, but it definitely needs an update because we can create it in like 2018 and 19. There's a few bits that definitely need changing. So, hopefully that will come soon. I'll speak to the SEO team. A big win for a lot of early stage companies is you have clients who are your ICPs. So people, if they have events, they'll be inviting people probably in a very similar space to them, depending on what the event's about. If you can go and speak there, it's a really good way to get in front of more people like them. So a great hack, and especially if you're a small business. The 22nd tactic is local networking, and unlike the one before, I wouldn't recommend this, mainly because they happen at a travel lodge at 6:30 in the morning, accompanied with a full English breakfast. And while the breakfast is all right, if you can stomach it, there's such a wide variety of people, from IT technicians to landscape gardeners to whatever it may be. So depending on what you're selling, I'd say in a B2B sense, it's not always the way to be able to get the most qualified connections. 23 in the tactic we used was a nuanced one, which was going into Crunchbase and looking at companies that were recently funded. Again, they may have the need for a marketing company to come in and help them allocate that effectively. In your industry, are there trigger points? Has a company got to a certain size? They may need your services. Are they growing at a certain rate? How can you go and find that third party data, and then how can you tie that into one of your marketing tactics to do outbound, inbound, whatever it may be? 24 is a marketing manager's favorite thing to do, and that is a full company rebrand. We rebranded Tactic 24 from B2B Metric to Session Media. So I took our company from that first iteration from a local company to the national and global company that we turned into. Tactic 25 is around developing custom tools. So for us, we developed a custom LinkedIn ads software tool, which used the API and plugged into different CRMs and a few different tools around that. It's a really helpful tool for a lot of our companies looking for attribution data, like assisted attribution data, which would then kind of position us as like an expert in the industry, as well as being able to capture leads as like a gated asset for people signing up for that as well. We've never actually done anything with the people that signed up for it and the leads and everything else. We brought it in-house to just do with current clients. When we sold, it was a really nice sort of like idea and concept, and a few things we could give back to the industry for free as well. Some of the stuff and features we gave out for free, which was good amplification. Launched it on LinkedIn, paired it with another tactic. We also, on the tool front, created a WordPress theme, which we sold to people, but also used for internal CMS and training. So we do a lot of work on CMS. It was an affiliate theme. You can actually start ranking pages and queries and start looking at Google Search Console. It's really good to start understanding the dynamics of the industry and how SEO works and start seeing this traffic come in. We've built up and sold affiliate sites in the past. It's a really good use case, I think, just to sort of get you in the mindset of how SEO should actually work, and it's a really good tool for training, and also just one we put out there just to show that we're sort of involved in the industry and the CMS WordPress improvement space. Next one is 27, is writing cool use cases for the software we use daily. So any software you use, a really good way to get links is to write a cool use case of how you use their software, and they'll a lot of the time feature it on their sites. Again, ties back to the SEO tactic, but it allows you to build these strategic partnerships as well as getting links from high authority media in your industry as well. Tactic 28, a B2B's favorite, is we went to a trade show. We just went to one. We paid like $5-6 grand for a booth, and they gave us a talking slot, and yeah, it was fine. I had a lot of conversations. A lot of people weren't qualified. Didn't get any business directly out of the conversations we had. Had to repeat myself 4 or 5 times an hour about what we did, and I kind of got bored of my own voice. We also had our backdrop of the stand didn't turn up, so we had a very bare-looking stand, which was fun and embarrassing in a lot of ways. So I think they could be good. Maybe it was the event we went to. It was maybe one of the bigger ones. It was also post-COVID, so who knows? They could be better. But I'd rather create a long form ad and amplify it so people can get my message after me saying it once hundreds of times versus repeating myself loads to unqualified potential people walking past the stand. If we go on to the Tactic 29, spoke at that trade show as well. Now the speaking was actually a lot better because we did a whole topic around LinkedIn ads and SEO, and got quite a lot of people turn up, which I was quite happy about, because you can kind of go around and look at the different talk topics and see how many people turn up, and you can kind of gauge what people are interested in. So the LinkedIn and SEO one was sort of packed out that we did, so obviously it was quite a hot topic at the time, still is, but I think back then when there was some sort of changes coming in, so talking, if you can go to an event, you get a talking slot, you get the credibility that comes with, and people like talking to and potentially doing business with people that were on the stage. So I'd say that's definitely the best thing that came out of that event, but I wouldn't do an event again, I think, in a hurry, unless you're like an enterprise 100K a year sort of average order value. I think and he has really specific shows, I think it can have, and a big sales team, I think it can have a better impact. I mean, you can use marketing and different tactics to drive people to that event. Tactic number 30, entering and asterisk winning awards. We entered the UK in Search Awards one year, and we ended up winning for the best B2B SEO campaigns, which is great. And we've never actually directly got business off it, but we've used it in our assets. It kind of legitimizes us, I guess, as an agency to hire and everything else. Awards in general, I think, is sort of like a questionable industry, but these are the sort of well-known ones in our space. So we're just happy to enter them and win them. I think it helped that COVID was happening, so you didn't have to buy like a whole table to be maybe more considered. That's a conspiracy theory, so don't take me seriously on that one. Number 31 is posting on forums. We went through a big stage of just posting loads on Quora. It was an interesting time, but people would ask about B2B marketing, and I'd repurpose all the content in there. I'd post it up there, and I got quite a lot of views. See if I can find the screenshot, whack it up. But I wouldn't spend lots of time doing this, but I really did see lots of B2B brands in there getting loads of traction from like software perspective. So it's definitely something that if you can find your like subreddit or your Quora like threads that work, I think that would be a really interesting thing for you to do. 32, a random tactic, but we created a whole list of marketing jokes. I think the second weekend we started the agency, I sat and wrote these marketing jokes for some reason, mainly to try and get links and traffic and trying to be edgy. Wouldn't recommend doing that at all. It's not really worth the time. It's just more of like a hobby tactic, I guess. 33, creating referral partnerships. This is a big one, finding agency owners for us who are in the e-com space, who may get B2B leads, who then can refer to us. We then refer the B2C leads. When we were ranking for SEO agency, we got a lot of e-commerce leads come in. So we then reached out to, respected e-commerce agencies and referred them clients. And then because we built that trust, they then referred them back. And it's the same. You can kind of find conversion optimizations agencies, development agencies. We defer them leads, they defer us. We kind of build that internal sort of like spider web network of forward and backward passing business. We also, as well as for a software company, because we did this for one of our internal tools we built, was creating and implementing a referral scheme, like an automated one. So someone gets 20% of like recurring billing for the first year, for example. That's a really good tactic if you're a product-led growth company, especially. 36. So we did a couple of PR stunts, and one of them was to get amplification again on LinkedIn. So we bought a slide and took a photo of it, like a little baby slide, and took a photo of it next to Stephen Bartlett on his big agency slide. If you don't know anything about this, here's the picture. It got lots of engagement, got lots of amplification, sort of expanded our story. It was like a celebration of our first year in business and like looking up to Stephen as like where we want to get to. He replied, then COVID hit, so we didn't get to meet up to him. So tactic 38 was buying a bigger slide and tagging and creating a video around him again, which again booked that second meeting, which was mainly just a PR activity. If you can think of quirky things to do for people that potentially would gain you some amplification and some, and just be able to get your message of your story of your company out there, and it will like allow you to amplify. I wouldn't say it will get you direct leads off it, but again, it will create that top line awareness. Number 38 as a tactic, becoming a sort of board advisor from an education standpoint. So I became a few years ago a board industry advisor for my old university, and I can sort of help bring my knowledge and expertise to the syllabus. This one's more of like a help, I guess, the next generation of marketers come in, and it's something that you can obviously take the learnings from what they're doing academically and help them change it with your own experience. Some, I guess, corporate social responsibility stuff that you can do for free that will help further your industry and sort of expand it. Tactic 40, getting more, again, PR, which talking about the PR in sort of previous few is something called Harrow and journal requests, again, for PR and also links. It's always about links in some form from an SEO perspective. You always got to be thinking, how can I get more links? And this one, again, is people will reach out, ask for experts for publications they may either list or may not list, and you can go back as an expert and plug that information, which they can then use for their publication. You'll get links to things like Forbes, for example, like we have quite a few times. I say quite a few, maybe like 3 or 4 times across clients, which again, you wouldn't get from just outreaching them, for example. Tactic 41 is really tightening up the CRM process flow and allowing you to visualize data. This has been really good for any marketing company and tactic you should bring in, because all the leads that come in and all your companies, you'll be able to see a clear feedback loop of where the best ones have come from both a software attribution and a self-reported attribution to say, okay, this is what's working, this is what we need to do more of, etc. Section 42 is we got featured in Tech UK and did a talk for Tech UK. Again, I think there's going to be industry bodies across all different domains in which I think from a credibility and PR perspective, if you can go and do that, it can then lead into blend into your tactics from a digital marketing perspective, as well as like a lead gen perspective. And it just kind of like plugs into that ecosystem. Tactic 43 is around creating scopes of work for everything. If you can't measure it, delegate it, improve it, it's not going to get much better. So a tactic for you this year, I think, is to really think systematically around what you're doing, how you're testing it, how people outside of yourself, so you don't become the bottleneck, can do what you're doing as well. Definitely recommend doing this one. Brand partnerships, again, a big one this year. So with LinkedIn thought leadership ads, what can happen is I can create content around a brand that I like, and then they can pay to amplify it to their audience. If we share the same audience, this is a really good way to get free, in essence, amplification, because they can amplify it to your audience. You're getting exposure, as well as they're getting, obviously, someone giving their audience a use case of the brand. So it's a win-win. We've actually won really good clients from a direct response perspective from this as well. Tactic 45, and this is very much a modern day one, is building AI agents for brainstorming creative. Use our own brand guidelines. We can put them all into sort of like Google workbooks, or sort of like a Claude Anthropic tool, AI tool, which then sort of brings out some of the key points. We can then plug it into our framework, allow the team to sort of come up with their own ideas and sort of feed it, and we can kind of come up with this whole roadmap and systemize it, and create campaigns and ideas at scale for ourselves, because we're feeding ideas. We have all our history in our body of work, which then ties it in with that, and it's getting better and better, and the context windows are getting bigger and bigger to allow us to store more information in that AI brain that we build out. The next tactic is 46 is when we got acquired by a MarTech provider who has a premium DSP. So ultimately we can appear on and target B2B companies from an ABM perspective, for example, across premium placements across the web, for example, like the Financial Times, and we can then just target them these bits of creative, which isn't just on, say, the likes of LinkedIn, Facebook, Google. So it kind of expands our reach and allows us to be quite creative with the stuff we put out there as well. Tactic 47, B2B, was a Facebook remarketing campaign we tried. This wasn't a first touch point one, even though I really do want to start trying first touch, because I think the psychographics of targeting on Facebook are getting better and better. So you can target people with an ad copy. If I said, are you a B2B marketing manager at a 50 plus software company who's struggling to hit their pipeline targets? Facebook seems to be getting better. I haven't got first party evidence. Seems to be getting better at pairing that with an audience. So definitely something to look into with that. But from a moment we're doing a retargeting audience where someone hits the site, we'll then put them through sort of like our messaging for different sort of buyer stages, as it were. At the moment, it's amplifying our content. And I think I'm on 49 because it's the last one. I think I mentioned a number twice above. So this is 49, but technically 50. And that is getting acquired by a B2B tech firm. As I mentioned, last year we were acquired by a B2B technology company after running Session for 5 years. And again, it's one of the things that's allowed us to plug into their tools. There's much more internal capacity and resource, which we can burst into. And if you're looking for, I guess, strategic partnerships and how to evolve with the industry, this isn't really a marketing tactic. It's more of a end game and what happened as a result of all these marketing tactics, coupled with our strategy, which we put in from the beginning. But out of all of these marketing tactics, I must say, LinkedIn ads is probably my favorite tactic at the moment for B2B marketing, probably second with YouTube content. But I've created a whole playlist around how you can use LinkedIn ads. I think it's about 13, 14 videos at the time of recording this, and I'll link that up here. So if you want to go watch and become a master at LinkedIn ads, whether it's internal, whether you want to start your own agency, whatever it may be, or whether you just want us to do it for you, go and check out the LinkedIn ads content, which I put up here. Any questions, as always, guys, whack them in the comments, but look forward to speaking to you guys very, very soon.